Hello, and welcome to the lost history of Alexander the Great. My name is James Cheever, and I am the creator of this work of fiction. And today we are going to be addressing a time when Alexander was about 6.5, 6 3/4 years old. He had started training when he was about probably 4.5 years old. So somehow a kid was either there the whole time, or he had just come along. But there was a 10-year-old in there, and he was related to one of the top generals, maybe the top general. And the guy started picking on Alexander. So so it became a little bit of a nuisance for him. And it's possible that King Philip was so buddy with this guy that it was okay for him to be picking on Alexander, because he'd be like, oh well, little Alexander, what are you gonna do? And he's pushing him around and stuff like that, trying to belittle him. And finally one day, the trainer, because they have a trainer, there's about 12 to 15 kids in this class, so they have a trainer. He's one of the elite soldiers. He's battle worthy. He's been in many battles, made many kills. So this is how he got this position. And he happens to walk in on this one day because Alexander and this other kid are about to get into a fight. And back in that day, there was no coddling, and there was no, I'm going to go run and tattletale on somebody. It was, you handled your own problems. Back in that day, you did. Even if you were a king or a prince, as Alexander was. So this guy, asked him what was going on, and Alexander's like, nothing. And the bigger kid, the bigger, stronger kid, he's like, oh, nothing's going on. And then, they waited till after class. He waited till after training, and he pulled Alexander aside. And what he did was he asked him, and he kind of pressured him. He was like, is this guy bullying you? Is he picking on you? What's going on here? And finally, Alexander gave in, and he was like, well, I'll tell you if you don't tell anybody. And he says, well, yeah, he's kind of getting on my nerves. And he's pushing me around, and he's like, oh, I see. Okay. So, and he asked Alexander how, what he wanted to do to handle this. And he said, well, maybe, you could teach me some advanced training, and then I could challenge him, because that's, Alexander, he was kind of ahead of the game in the class as it was. So, and maybe this bigger kid, was kind of jealous of him, because he was he caught on to things way quicker than anybody else in the class. It didn't matter that he was a prince or not. It just mattered that he, had a knack for being a warrior, even at, 6.5, 6 3/4 years old. So what happened is, what happened is they decided that he was going to go train with another elite warrior that wasn't, that wasn't that particular guy. That particular guy was in the position because he was excellent with kids. He was excellent with young kids. He was an excellent warrior. He made kills galore, and he was perfect for that job, for taking on children and teaching them things. But they wanted to put him with another warrior that was probably every bit the equal, if not more, of a warrior than the trainer was. So, and he spent about 2 weeks with that guy, and he just stopped going to the class. And he was they were secretly training him, elsewhere, showing him advanced moves, and he caught on real fast. So he learns all these advanced moves, and his trainer is like, wow, this is pretty amazing, and they're in contact with the regular trainer, you know, and it's like, you know, this is pretty good. So he comes back after 2 weeks, you know, refreshed, you know, and he's like, you know, he's in the class, and they're doing their thing, and you know, the instructor walks away, and you know, immediately he starts in again. Oh, Alexander, you know, where you been hiding? You know, and we thought that you stopped coming in because you're just such a such a little weasel or whatever. So Alexander says, okay, that's fine. You know, I challenge you. If you think that you're man enough, I challenge you to a duel. You know, this wasn't a duel to the death because these are children. So when they, you know, and he's like, okay, you know, I guess you want to lose, you know. The bigger kid's like, I guess you want to lose this, you know, you want to lose a battle, you know. So they agree on a deal, you know, that the one that loses the battle can no longer attend the class. So they can no longer train with all the other kids. They have to exit the class. So after that, you know, the trainer comes back and they tell him about it, and so they set it up, you know, and a couple hours later they have you know, they have this duel where Alexander and this, you know, considerably bigger kid, stronger kid, because he's, you know, probably 4 years older than he is, they agree to use sword and shield, but they're not using like they're not using a metal sword, they're using like a wooden sword, because that's what they train with, because they don't allow children of that age to be sparring with each other with live weapons like that. So they have carved weapons, and the duel starts, and you know, basically this kid thinks he's got it in the bag. The bigger kid, he thinks he's got it in the bag, and he's like, well, let's go, you know. And Alexander, I mean, he comes at Alexander, and you know, he was just like, he blocks him with his shield, and then does one of these, and then hits him with the shield like right about here, and he just kind of like stumbles, and then Alexander just like rushes him like a quarterback and knocks him down, and then he's like, you know, and that was it, you know, that was the whole fight. And then this kid, you know, I mean, he was obviously pretty apathetic after that, because he just got owned by somebody that's much smaller than he is, and now he can no longer be in the class. So he had to leave the class. He left in apathy, damn near crying. And a few days, you know, a day or two later, his dad comes over, and he's like, what in the hell's going on? Why is my son not in this class? So the trainer for the group, he tells him what happened. And he you know, the guy is like pissed, you know, but he can't do anything about it. He's like, oh, you know. So that's pretty much the story. This guy actually comes in about, I'm going to say around 6 years later, because there's another incident. You know, this guy kind of like, you know, because he was a bully anyway. So he kind of like was nefarious. He didn't, you know, align with anything that would be legal, or, you know, he was more like a criminal. So, and we're going to get into that at a later date. So just little food for thought. So that's the story for right now. And if you would like to keep up on the stories that I tell, that appear to be from memory, really, but we can't prove that, so we don't go there. We just say this is fiction. If you'd like to be a part of it, if you'd like to keep up on it, you can come over to The Lost History of Alexander the Great on Facebook and keep up with it there, because I do I try to do a regular updates and you know, tell more stories as I go along, because there's a lot of stories to tell when it comes down to Alexander the Great. It's not just something that you can do in 10 minutes. So, and I appreciate you watching, you know, and have a nice day.